please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Very good morning. Welcome to Chartbusters. Well, in the next half hour, Rod, we'll highlight market moves. We'll get you a couple of managements as well. For the time being, the Nifty is trading mildly in the red, while the Nifty Bank, as we speak, has moved into the green. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and with me today is Rima Tendulkar. Hey, Rima. Morning.
Hi, Nigel. Good morning. Yes, the frontline indices seem to be consolidating. It's the mid-caps which are doing better in trade. So the mid-cap index is a gain of close to about 0.8%. The advanced decline ratio is positive. In news coming in, Reliance Infrastructure to consider transferring the Mumbai power business to Adani Transmission today. This was known. It's just, I guess, the final closure of it or the announcement coming in from the companies. Let's get on with the show, and then we've got a packed next 30 minutes. First up on the show, let's take a look at the top headlines. The Nifty rejig impact stocks. JSW Steel replaces Lupin effective close of September 28th. A move which reduces the weight of pharmaceutical in Nifty to 2.8% from 3.3%.
And Vedanta gains after winning big at the oil block auctions. They bagged 41 out of 55 blocks that were auctioned in the first round. The management expects 225,000 to around 240,000 lakh barrels of production in the current fiscal.
Nalco gains as HSBC initiates coverage with a buy, sets a target price at 90. HSBC forecasts an F5 18 to 21 EBITDA annual growth of 21% and expects the return on equity to increase to 11.5% by FY21.
And Jet Airways gains after the management lays out cost-cutting and debt reduction plans. They intend to reduce debt by around 2,200 crore rupees in FY19. The company receives $300 million as additional lease incentive and debt from banks.
And ICICI Lombard and New India Assurance trade higher. IRDA specifies guidelines for longer tenure motor third-party policy starting 1st of September. Insurers can now offer motor third-party policy for a minimum period of 5 years on two-wheelers and 3 years on four-wheelers.
Well, mid-caps really the way to go today. You have the likes of Equitas that's higher in today's trading session. Capital First as well is moving higher. And the last few minutes, SAIL as well has moved to the high point of the day. So keep an eye out on that one as well. A lot of these metal stocks are doing well. We had a large trade coming in on JSW Steel. Remember, fundamentally, things are looking good. Then, in fact, you had the rejig as well that you needed to look at in terms of JSW Steel. Now it's come into the Nifty. And importantly, around 20 minutes back, there was a large trade at around 380 rupees. So that explains why that stock is moving higher. And we told you last week itself that NMDC is likely to increase prices. Then we had the management who came and clarified that, yes, they have increased prices. And they've also told us that, in fact, dispatches have improved. That stock is moving higher. Remember, pellet prices are moving higher. And, in fact, iron ore prices as well have moved up. But what's the trade on the Nifty from here? It's as flat as can be to start trade. Ashwini Gujral joins in. Ashwini, how would you play the Nifty at these levels? We've had a good run in the last few trading sessions and for the series as well. But what's the trade for today?
See, today is a consolidation day as far as the large caps are concerned. The Bank Nifty gave you an early morning dip. We have just taken profits on that trade. So that was about 100 points from the lows. Now, my sense is that the way Bank Nifty is behaving, sooner or later, it is going to break out of previous highs. So that way, if you are a multi-day style trader, you can continue to hold positions from yesterday or day before. That's not a problem because more and more banking stocks are gaining strength, and once previous highs are taken out, often the market tends to bounce a lot, but you need to have margin of safety. You need to be in the Bank Nifty since 27,800, 900. Today could be volatile. It does not look like there is great volume or great participation. So that way, financials are doing well. Individual stocks, Yes Bank has bottomed out. With or without Rana Kapoor, I think these problems tend to get sorted. This is a buy with a stop of 370, target of 385. Nalco is a buy with a stop of 236, target of 250. And L&T Finance is a buy with a stop of 184, target of 196.
Ashwini, any thoughts on Lupin? It's underperforming today because it will be exiting the Nifty effective 28th of September. But technically, how is the chart of Lupin looking?
Again, you know, pharma, it's not really outperforming Lupin within pharma. But I would say that there is an accumulation going on from 750 to 900, 920. The day we are able to cross 900, 920, and that'll probably need some good news, that's when Lupin will, you know, resume its upside. You can say it's bottomed out and is now, you know, making a base to be moving higher. But so far, it does not look like that's going to happen immediately.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Ashwini. Well, moving on then, I think we should move on. We have our colleague Anshu Sharma. She caught up with the past secretary, Mr. Ajay Kumar Bhalla, and began by asking him about the solutions proposed and the number of assets that we can expect to be resolved by the Empowered Committee. Let's listen in.
Often it is difficult to say. As I said, about 10 to 12 assets were under bidding by the lenders as part of the resolution outside NCLT, and bids have been received in many cases, and it was under discussion among all the lenders for a final resolution of some of these assets. So I mean it will be lead banks who would be able to say that how many of those could be resolved at the earliest.
But in the past, we have seen that CDR, SDR, and other means of restructuring loans have not worked, and it's been many years that these assets are still grappling with stress. How confident are you that IBC, under IBC, or the solution that committee will come out with will actually help the power assets to?
See, I mean, IBC depends on who are the people who take over these assets and for how long they can hold and finally look for PPAs and all. But the High Power Committee definitely would like to address some of these issues in the sector on resolving some of their problems, because even if these assets are bought by another developer, some of the sectoral issues would need to be sorted out so that they don't go into further stress.
No interim relief given to the power sector. What happens now with regards to the stress in the power sector?
See, lenders will have to follow as per the RBI. There are different steps they need to take. As far as High Power Committee is concerned, or as directed by court, we have convened the meeting on 31st of October, and we have written to RBI Governor for sending a representative for the meeting, as mentioned in the court order also.
So will it have any implication on more number of power assets considering the circular remains in place?
Yeah, if there is no further interventions from courts, then procedure as per the IBC Act will have to be followed by the lenders, and they will have to proceed accordingly.
There's also mention in some of the reports that government will seek 180 days more as per what it had stated in the Allahabad High Court. Is that true?
See, the court itself says that you can explore the possibility of Section 7 consultations with RBI. So that part Ministry of Finance will have to look at, and we'll have to understand from them that whether that process of consultation is being started with RBI under Section 7.
The company which is on our radar right now is Biocon. That stock has gained close to about 15% in 2018. The company's biologics business has been gaining good traction, at least in the last 3 quarters. To get a sense of the overall growth outlook, we're now joined by Siddharth Mittal, the CFO of the company. Siddharth, good morning, and thanks so much for joining in. Straight away, let me start with your biologics business, because clearly that's where all the traction is. In Q1, you recorded a absolute revenue of close to about $37 million in biologics, but you have given a guidance of $200 million for the full year. A, do you maintain it? And if you could help us, what has gone into the company giving this guidance? What have you factored in by way of approvals or the kind of growth that you will see from your existing products?
Yeah, hi, good morning, Rima. So, Yes, we had a revenue of 36 million in the first quarter, and the guidance has been at 200 million for the fiscal year 2019. And the current revenue base comprises of the products that we've been selling in many emerging markets and comprises of insulin and glargine and trastuzumab. As you know, our partner Mylan launched pegfilgrastim in the US in Q2, which would also be a big growth driver for the Q2 to Q4 and will add to the revenue growth. We also have, on the basis of our European approval for glargine, our partner again Mylan will look at launching the product in the Europe by end of this calendar year, which will give us revenues for 1 quarter in fiscal 19. Mm-hmm. And lastly, our existing customer base in emerging markets, where customer base in emerging markets, where we have got partners, they have applied for registration in many such emerging markets. We are expecting to receive approvals in such markets, which will also drive the growth. So at this stage, we are quite comfortable and confident that we'll be able to meet $200 million guidance. Now, obviously, the first quarter, when you look at $36 million numbers, yeah, and when you look at the full year number, a lot of the growth will be back-end loaded.
Okay, all right. We get that point then, Siddharth. Thanks so much for joining us here on CNBC Tv18. Wanted to focus on pegfilgrastim. You said that that's expected to contribute. So if you could give us a sense of how much is it likely to contribute in FY19 as well as FY20. And also, I was reading some reports. It indicated that you have launched it at a sharp discount to the innovator. Run us through some details there.
Well, it'll be difficult for me to give guidance in terms of what it would contribute in FY19 and FY20 because obviously that's something that our partner Mylan would be giving a guidance at an appropriate time. It's very early days. As you would have seen in the US biosimilar landscape, there have been very
So Siddharth, if you could help us out with what is the initial response out there, and also if you could give us a sense of what is the discount that it has been launched at, that will give us a better idea.
See, discount at a ASP price, it's I think Mylan has already announced publicly that it's a 35% lower than the brand. And obviously the US system pricing mechanism, the rebates system is quite complicated. Now, in terms of what it really means in terms of the net realization for Mylan and hence for Biocon, I think we'll have to wait and watch till we have got more numbers by end of this quarter or next quarter.
Okay. But you expect this Fulphila or pegfilgrastim to have a significant contribution even in FY19?
That's right. I mean, we do expect good growth number from Fulphila.
Okay. What about your, any guidance on the kind of growth that biologics can contribute going ahead? You've given us some sense of what FY19 will look like. But what about the road ahead, say for FY20, 21? Any internal targets that you've set?
Well, definitely we have set internal targets, which we have not communicated externally. But qualitatively, I can say is that in FY19, you're aware that we are going to launch glargine in Europe and pegfilgrastim in the US. In FY20, we have launch of our trastuzumab in the US. We have launch of pegfilgrastim and trastuzumab in the Europe. We also expect Mylan to launch adalimumab in the Europe, which is an in-licensed product from Fuji in Japan. We've also in FY21 will launch glargine in the US. So with a combination of all these launches, in addition to our growth in emerging markets, I mean, the numbers, obviously, we will see an exponential growth even in FY20 and FY21.
Okay, all right. Siddharth, I wanted to ask you a quick question on your margins. The APIs or the rising cost of raw materials from China, that's something that's expected to dent margins. And I remember in the first quarter, the R&D cost was a tad bit lower. You had said that going ahead, that could pick up in the coming quarters. So what's the margin that, the street could work with for this fiscal?
See, in terms of margin, typically we give a guidance in terms of the operating margins, which is excluding our R&D and the forex gain or losses. So that at an operating level, we expect to remain stable in spite of the raw material pricing pressure from China. When we face some of the pricing challenges, we also end up increasing our realization from our customers. So that would have, I would say a neutral impact. Now, in terms of R&D expenses, yes, we have had a lower R&D expenses in Q1. Some of our trials had completed. But R&D, as you know, is in the nature, it cannot be even across the quarters, so it tends to be lumpy. And for the year, we definitely expect R&D expenses to go up as we progress our novel molecules and biosimilar molecules in clinic, which will be happening in the coming quarters.
Okay, Siddharth, we'll leave it to that. Thank you very much for joining in. So that is Biocon, was a big mover in the last 1 year with a rally of close to 80% in 1 year. Though in in 2018 itself, the stock has just seen a rally of close to about 15%, but big gains seen in the last 1 year, and the management very confident about seeing exponential growth in the biologic segment, which roughly contributes about 20% to their overall revenue in FY20 and 21 as well. So 19 is wrong with $200 million of revenues, but exponential growth over there will continue going ahead as well. Currency, the rupee is very close to its record low levels of 70.40, so just about 2 or 3 paise away from that. But moving on to some more corporate news, Tech Mahindra is well poised to comfortably beat the 7 to 9% growth guidance outlined by NASSCOM for FY19. Says the company's CEO and MD, C.P. Gurnani. In an exclusive chat with CNBC TV18 Nitya Balakrishnan, he outlines that Tech Mahindra's 5G project pipeline, adding revenues from the telecom vertical, will increase for the company from next fiscal. Listen in.
Technology player, I am going to be ready and I will announce my partnership in September.
Sure.
I also said is that we will be doing a few pilots by 2019 March.
Yes.
And the reason I said this is because the spectrum auctions have only started now.
Yes.
If the technology is ready, Europe auctions are, later during the year or some in 2019. Most industry knows this is a technology in 2019 calendar year.
Yes.
There will be rollouts, but phased rollouts.
True.
2020 is when it starts accelerating. It's actually completes or will reach 80% penetration by 2023.
If I can talk about the contribution that telecom has as a vertical to your revenues currently, what would that be? And how much of an investment bet will you take on 5G? How do you expect revenues changing as a result?
We avoid any forecast, but if I look at the current data, I'm at about 43-44% in telecom. Out of that, if a company-wide, my network business should be about 11 or 12%.
Sure.
My belief is that as we get into full throttle towards 2019 calendar.
All right, in updates coming in, the rupee has now hit a new low. It's hit its previous low of 70.39 against the dollar. It's still hovering around those levels. This, remember, is more of an emerging market currency weakness that we've seen. It started off with the Turkish currency lira, where there was pretty much a run on that currency. There was a rout which led to other emerging market currencies weaken as well. So the news which is just coming in, breaking on your screen, is that the rupee has hit its record low of 70.39 against the dollar and still hovering there as we speak. It's a decline of close to about 0.5%. It's a decline of close to about 0.5% on a day so far today. We'll try and get in some more reactions coming in. The previous time the rupee had hit this low was on 16th of August. So in a span of about 12 days, the rupee has once again gone to those low levels. I think on a closing, let's try and get the yield as well to see if there has been any kind of a reaction. And the other Asian currency should also come up for you on your screen. Let's try and find out if there is a concomitant weakness seen in the other other Asian currencies like the won, the Malaysian ringgit, the Taiwanese dollar, the Philippine peso. Let's try getting the other currencies up for you on your screen to see if this is more of an emerging market weakness. The dollar ringgit is currently just about a 0.2% move that is coming through. The dollar index, let's get that up for you on your screen. Can we get the dollar index up for you on your screen? Let's try and see if the dollar has strengthened, which is causing this weakness in the currency as we speak. The dollar index is still hovering close to about, actually below the 95 mark as well. It had gone to levels of 96, 97 as well. So compared to that, the dollar index is currently at 95. But the news, which is the big news, is the rupee has once again hit its fresh record low of 70.39 against the dollar. The last time around, we didn't see too much aggressive intervention by the Reserve Bank of India. Ashutosh Khajuria, the ED and CFO of Federal Bank, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Khajuria, good morning. If you could walk us through the developments which have taken place in the currency market today, which have led to the rupee once again going back to its fresh record low levels?
Deepa, I think it's not the record low. To the best of my understanding, it's above 40. I think 70, 42, 43 was the highest level. But it's closer to that, no doubt. And probably, which I understand from my traders, is that there is an oil buying as well as there has been something for defense as well. So this could be the reason, because suddenly there's a bulk demand. Dollar is not globally getting strengthened. It's only against rupee it's happening. So probably because of oil taking 75 decisively once again and inching towards 76, 77, and the other one is, the demand, bulky demand from the oil sector as well as defense.
So today is not an emerging market currency weakness. This is specific to the Indian currency on the back of more demand from oil and gas companies for dollars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We've had statements, say, from the likes of the Niti Aayog chairman Rajiv Kumar, who's indicated that we'll let the rupee find its own value. In that context, where do you see the currency headed? And purely for today, have we seen, any intervention from the Reserve Bank of India, or can we expect that?
See, I wouldn't like to comment on that because I would like to just wait. But probably there had been some inquiries and all from public sector banks, so it's quite likely that there could be, intervention during the day. I'm not very sure about it, unless we see, bulk deals happening and all. But yeah, there had been some, inquiries certainly.
Okay. In your understanding, do you expect this dollar demand from oil companies to continue, which can further put pressure on the currency just for the near term?
Yeah, but I think I don't see a sudden, dip as well. I think it should stabilize somewhere below 70.50 or so,
okay,
and should be there for some time.
Okay. So rupee should hover in a range of 70 to 70.5, according to you?
Yes.
No further depreciation seen from these levels?
No sudden.
Further depreciation seen from these levels?
No sudden. This thing. I think it would be holding 7.40250 levels or something.
Okay, but over the medium term, do you expect the rupee to weaken?
It can go till 71, but that would be an opportunity for pumping in, more of capital flows into India, subject to, of course, the GDP numbers coming on 31st August, which hopefully should bring in some cheers. But let's see, it's just a couple of days away. So let's, wait for that, event. Let's wait for those numbers. But I think if numbers are very good, then you can expect some capital flows coming in.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Khajuria, for joining in. So that is the ED and CFO of Federal Bank saying that he does not expect sudden depreciation from these levels. The rupee should stabilize in a range of 70 to 70.5. And purely for today, this is not an emerging market currency weakness. It is perhaps led by increased dollar demand by oil and gas companies. That's what he's picked up. But our editor, Lata Venkatesh, is also here. Lata, today is a rupee problem.
Well, actually, even yesterday we saw this demand. Towards the month end, it is normal for oil marketing companies to come and demand dollars. A couple of things have changed since the last several months. I mean, why didn't we hear of dollar demand in the month end? last month before that, last year, year before, when the rupee was very strong. This factor is always there, but now things have changed because emerging market currencies are a bit under pressure. Today, of course, the dollar in the last 24 hours went below 95, and it has just steadied a bit in the last 1 hour or so. But emerging market currencies are still showing a little bit of weakness. India can be picked out for more underperformance in this basket because we are the country with the largest current account deficit in the Asia EM basket. So if there is even a slightest pressure, we will look like we have had more pressure. The second factor is that we had Rajiv Kumar speaking to us, the Niti Aayog chairman, and we saw the RBI also allow the currency to move below 70 with some ease last week when the lira was under pressure. So the signs we are getting both from the way the Reserve Bank is behaving and the way the government is talking is that they don't mind the depreciation of the rupee. Nobody wants accelerated depreciation, but if the market were taking the rupee lower, the central bank or the government are not opposed to it because they need it. It is only when the price of rupee corrects that this big gap between the widening, not big, widening gap between imports and exports will decline. Imports will get more expensive, so you will import less. Exports will become attractive, so you will export more. So this is a market-oriented way of correcting the current account or correcting the trade deficit, and therefore they will not stand in the way of gentle rupee depreciation. That message we are getting from the way the government talks and the way the RBI walks. So that's exactly the psyche with which traders will trade. If there is a demand, they won't mind going ahead and shorting the rupee. That's what we're seeing. I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Yes, a statement coming in from Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar was, let rupee find its fair value or natural value.
Yeah, he spoke to me yesterday at the Motilal Oswal thing. And he was just trying to dispel notions that nobody should confuse a strong country with a strong currency. A strong currency is actually inimical to the economy.
All right. But that is the big news. The rupee has once again gone back to its fresh record low levels, 70.4 against the dollar as we speak. With that, it's a wrap on Chartbusters. Stay tuned. Trading Hour up next.